Welcome to Caring Community with your host, Diane West. In this community, creative initiatives are welcome. A culture of transformation is normal, and miracles are expected. Welcome to Caring Community.
Hi, I'm Jay, and this is Caring Community. Welcome to our show today. I'd like to welcome our special guest, Dr. Joseph Dumba.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, do you know the Trinity handshake? This is the Father, this is the Son, and this is the Holy Spirit.
That's great. I'll show you the African way.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Yes.
1, 2, 3. All right. The African way. So,
the African way.
Dr. Dumba is from South Sudan, Kenya also. Kenya and South Sudan?
No, South Sudan.
Okay. I met him because when my wife was in the hospital, the previous 2 shows were a dedication to her. We needed to replace a doctor. And we had a doctor that we were looking at, but several of the other staff recommended Dr. Dumba as well. And actually, the doctor we were looking at was with CHI, and we couldn't have had him anyway. So I found that out later. So anyway, we met Dr. Dumba, and he is fantastic. He's a believer. He's got a clinic here in town. He's got a great staff. He's got some of the doctors are from other nations like he is. He came to America as a refugee and had always wanted to be a doctor, and got his undergraduate degree, got his medical degree, went to the Mayo Clinic and had more training there, and thankfully ended up in Omaha. And so tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us what it's like to be a refugee and come to a foreign country.
Well, I can tell you it's not a good experience.
Okay.
But I was born in South Sudan, and I was raised there. And in the 80s, war broke out in South Sudan, and we ended up being refugees in Kenya for a while. So I was a refugee in Kenya for 2 years before I came to the United States. When you're in a refugee camp, in most places, you are in a fenced area. I think fortunately for us, when we were refugees in Kenya, there was a small number. It was not a big number yet. You know, we were some of the first refugees in Kenya. And so we were in a small refugee camp that was outside of Nairobi, about 60 miles, I think it was west of Nairobi or east of Nairobi, I can't remember specifically. But it's a fancy area, so you can't go anywhere, and you're guarded by police. So in order for you to go out, you have to get a permit, and then you can go out, and you have to come back the same day. You cannot go and spend.
What were the living
outside.
conditions like?
Well, they gave us tents, so we lived in tents. Yeah.
Was it hot?
Oh yes, it was very hot. Very hot, and then sometimes very cold when it rains.
And how do you sleep in very hot and very cold?
Well, you tough it out. South Sudan is very hot anyway, you know. So the hotness was not the problem. I think was just sleeping in the tents, because we're used to sleeping in hats, you know, grass hats. Mm-hmm. And grass hats are cool. They're actually very cool. They don't heat up that much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you slept in these tents. How many people were in a tent?
They put 3 to 4.
Okay, so not a ginormous tent.
No. It's not a big tent. You know,
Okay.
they give you smaller tents.
But you had to. How was the food?
They prepared the food for us at that time, because again I said, you know, because there was only a few of us, so it was not too bad for us. The only bad thing was that you felt like you were in prison, because you cannot go anywhere.
So how did you get out of the prison? It's not prison, but you felt like it. How did you get out of that and do all the paperwork and everything else to come to America? How does that work?
Well, I can tell you honestly, we gave a hard time to the U.S. Embassy in Nairobi, because we wrote letters to them. We wrote letters to United Nations in Geneva. And then for some reason, all our cases were denied. So we were denied refugee status. And we didn't understand why, but I think there was some kind of politics being played between the government of Kenya, I think, and the rebel movement, not to allow young men to get out of the country. Okay. So to go into
And what year was that?
That was 1989.
Who was president here? Do you remember?
I think it was it Bush?
Was it Bush 41, the first Bush?
I think it was Bush.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Bush
so
one,
you
yeah.
came, somehow you got, you got papers approved. How
Yeah,
did you get from Africa to here?
Well, one day, staff from the U.S. Embassy just showed up with forms to say, where are the South Sudanese? We were like, we're here. And so they give us the forms to say, fill out. You're going to be resettled to the United States if you pass all your physicals.
Okay.
So that was it.
Did you fly or take a boat, or how did you get here?
Yeah, you have to fly. If you take a boat, it will take months.
Right, but I didn't know, so I'm asking. So you flew here. Who pays for the airline ticket?
They paid there was an agency, a refugee agency that paid for it. And then when you get here, you have to pay it back.
Okay, so you get here. What's your first steps when you get here? You don't have a place to live. You don't know anything.
Well, the good thing is, they connected us with a good Christian family in Tacoma, Washington. So I was received by a Christian family that took me in and actually showed me how to do things, how to process the papers and everything, until I was able to get on my feet.
And how old were you then?
20.
20.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you're 30. No, I'm teasing. So.
Yes, I'm 30. Yes, after being here for 30 years.
Right, yeah. So anyway, so you got your medical degree.
So when you get here as a refugee, you have to go through certain processes. You have to get your Social Security. You got to get your I-94 done, and then you get permit for work. And then you get what we call permanent residency, which is then after 5 years you can then apply for citizenship. And I went through all that process.
Okay. And you became a citizen when you were in Washington?
Yes, I became a citizen when I was in Washington, yes. Yeah, as soon as I hit 5 years, I'm like, I'm becoming a citizen because I want to have that U.S. passport,
Okay.
so that I can travel anywhere I want.
Right.
But part of my heart was in doing medicine. I wanted to be a doctor, but with all the wars in South Sudan, everything was disrupted. So I began going back to school, starting out in the community college. A lot of people think community college is not good, but that's probably where you get the basic education, and it's good education.
I went to community college in California before I went to university here in Nebraska. So,
yeah, it's good education, and it's cheap. I was able to pay some of it, most of it, and then when I transferred to the 4-year college, I had to start taking loans, but I also received a lot of grants. Basically, I went for my graduated without loans.
Okay.
And then when I went to medical school is when you have to get loans because it's too expensive.
Right. And then you have to pay those back?
You have to pay those back, yep.
I heard that after 10 years, if you make regular payments and then after you get to 10 years, they'll forgive the rest. Is that true?
No, it's not.
It's not true?
You have to pay it all back.
I heard that from a local doctor. I thought it was true. So anyway.
The only way they can forgive is if you go to rural areas and work in the rural areas or underserved areas.
Well, Omaha is a rural area compared to Chicago.
No, you have to go. You have to be like in Alma, Nebraska, or somewhere in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yep.
So how did you start this clinic back in the South Sudan? How did you do that?
My heart has always been in doing medical missions. So my church used to go to Central America for medical missions, specifically in Nicaragua and Belize.
The church here?
Yes.
Covenant Presbyterian?
Covenant Presbyterian, yeah.
Okay.
And then when South Sudan became stable, I wanted to go see what is left of the war. And I knew that the medical system down there was in shambles. It was in bad shape. So I took a group of doctors with me and my family, and we were able to see how bad it was. So when we came back with the assistance of my colleagues, we were able to form a nonprofit organization to try to raise money and to establish a permanent presence in South Sudan.
And you have a website here.
We have a website
here. Can you just,
we'll
put it on the screen, but go ahead and say what it is. So.
It's www.healingkadi.org. So healing like in healing medicine, and then Kadi, Kadi.org.
Okay, Kadi.
Yes.
So healingkadi.org.
Yes. Kadi is a Bari word. It's my native language, means house. So healing house.
Healing house, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's good. So you have, how big is the clinic?
Well,
tell us about the clinic.
The clinic currently has 28 staff members.
They're there permanently?
Those are staff members that work for the facility.
Are some of them doctors?
Yeah, we have 2 doctors, we have 4 clinical officers, which are equivalent of PAs, and then we have nurses, we have laboratory techs, We have.
How is it funded?
That's the good question. We raise the money here in Omaha, actually, pretty much. Majority of the money is raised here in Omaha.
So that pays the salaries, administrative costs, medicine, shipping medicine there, everything that you need.
All of it. Our system was set up in such a way that it is supposed to be self-sustaining. So our plan was 5 years from when we started it, we wanted it to be self-sustained such that the South Sudan is actually able to pay for it. So it's not necessarily 100% free for the patients.
Right.
We have them pay a small share of the cost, 25%. And that 25% actually adds up very quickly to support.
Do they get
the
basic
services.
care, or is there more expanded care that they can get there?
Well, I can tell you that 95% of the problems in South Sudan, the medical problems, can actually be solved without high technology.
Okay.
And so we have basic labs. We can run blood counts, and we can renal functions, liver functions. We can do that. We can run certain tests.
Renal is kidney, right?
Renal is kidney.
I learned that when my wife was in the hospital. I never knew what renal was, but I'm telling you, 153 days my wife was there, I learned a lot of medical jargon. So.
Yes. So that is actually almost like a luxury, to be able to run those tests. But, majority of the stuff like malaria and, parasites and things like that, we can take care of those things without even doing a lot of testing, and it's really very easy to take care of.
Can you do surgeries there?
We haven't started doing major surgeries yet, but we do minor surgeries, yes. But eventually we will be able to do some surgeries. We are currently in the process of building a pediatric hospital, because what they call the infant mortality, which is the number of kids that die, is very high in South Sudan, one of the highest in the world.
Right.
And so we're starting out by building a pediatric hospital so we can address the problem with the kids, because they die from dehydration, simple thing like dehydration.
Right.
And so we want to be able to have those kids who are really dehydrated.
Well, it's interesting because I've learned so much. I learned so much when Diane was in the hospital, it's my wife, but then I learned more afterwards. I have a friend here in town, and he's a nurse, and he just does he goes into homes.
Yeah.
He's a nurse in their homes overnight, and ministers to the children, whatever they need. For whatever reason, they're not in the hospital, and then I have another friend down in Arkansas, her name's Connie, and she does occupational therapy with children.
Yeah.
And I did not know, and she goes from home to home or place to place, or even daycares, and some of it she does on telecare as well. And I know with COVID, you do a lot of telecare now too. Mm-hmm. So there's all these specialty areas, and this is just one with children.
Yeah.
And I would think, parents are parents anywhere.
Yep.
When your child is sick, and you're in America, you've got a Walgreens and a Walmart and a CVS, you got all this everywhere, but then you're Sudan, you don't have that.
Nope.
You
don't.
And you don't have Uber to get you to the clinic. You don't have, I don't even know, do you have good electricity there?
No, we don't have electricity. Actually, our facility is probably one of the only one in the county that has electricity, and we use solar and generator.
Solar energy to get it?
Yeah, we use solar and generator when it's cloudy. But it is true, the transportation is, there's no good roads, there's no vehicles to transport people, so people walk and all use bicycles. It's like being in the 1800 United States when people used to use horses and and Pony Express.
Yeah.
But at least that one you can get faster. But with the South Sudan, it really is the situation there is still not very good.
But I only reference that because I'm friends with these people who are doing ministry with children, medical ministry. I call it ministry. I mean, it's obviously
Absolutely.
medical, but it's a ministry when you can go to a house, when you can go to a daycare, when you can go to somebody's home and help that child, whether it's occupational therapy. And Diane went through she went physical therapy and occupational therapy. I didn't even know there was occupational therapy until she was in the hospital that long, because you have to relearn so many things when you've been in the hospital for a while, or you've been sick for a while.
Absolutely.
And there's so many facets of the medical community that I was ignorant. I was just ignorant.
There's a lot goes on in the hospital, in the system. So, yeah.
So you like what you do?
Absolutely. I love what I'm doing. And
how can people help you if they feel like, wow, because I'm going to tell you, this is a quality guy, and if you're watching this anywhere in the United States or in the world even, this is a quality guy, it's a quality doctor. we trusted him with my wife and her life, and I would trust him with mine. And I'm just telling you, this would be something worth giving towards, helping humanity in another country, but knowing that he's also working here. He worked hard. Think about it. He was a refugee. That alone is just mind-blowing, okay? And then he went to college. He went to medical school. He went to specialty school. He trained at the Mayo Clinic, which is one of the best in the world, very well known in the United States. And then he has a big clinic here in Omaha, and then another one in South Sudan. Do you ever like sleep?
My wife asks me about that all the time. When are you going to sleep? You know, but yes, I do. And I think I give that credit mostly to my wife because she keeps an eye on me, you know.
Right.
Time to shut the computer down and rest, you know. And it's been a blessing to have her. You know, I think I always think about our lives here on this earth. We have limited time here, and we have to do as much as possible to help another human being.
Right.
And in doing so, we have to also make sure that we don't burn ourselves out. You know.
Right.
But I get help from everybody. You know, I mean, we have plenty of, we have board members here in the U.S. that are helping out with the organization. We have board members in South Sudan that are helping out with the organization. And I think between that and our church, you know, it's been
Right.
great. It's been wonderful.
And you know, in different areas, everybody can help in some area.
Absolutely.
You know, I travel and speak at churches and businesses and schools around the nation. I encourage people. I motivate them. I've had so many people say, I would never have done. I've had people say, I wouldn't have written that book if you hadn't told me to. Encourage me. You know, and I'm just saying we all have a role to play. We are sharing in between shows that I pray and minister and encourage political leaders at the local, state, and national level, Democrats and Republicans. Absolutely. And I get criticism for doing that, but I also take great joy and pleasure in doing that, and it's an honor to do that. I meet some wonderful people. You know, I have this show, I have another TV show. We all do what we feel God is leading us to do, if you're a believer, obviously.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, a lot of the times when people talk to us, it's like, well, you know, you have the clinic in South Sudan, you know, and I like to come, but I don't have any skills. I'm like, you're the person we need. You think you don't have any skills? You come with me and I'll find something for you to do.
Right.
So, you know, a lot of the times people think that they cannot help because they are not in medicine, right, or they are not in construction, or they're not in this, you know. We need pastors, we need people who can build, we need people who can put water systems together, we need people who know about electricity, we need handymen, right, or handy women, you know, that people who can fix things. You know, you don't have to have any specific kind of skills, right, to be able to come and help us.
And I know some people are watching, and we're in the season, and 5 years from now, the show's still on. Still, it won't relate as much. But how does COVID affect volunteers going there?
Well, it has affected because over the last 2 years, we have not been able to take volunteers because of all the COVID restrictions and problem with the flights and things like that.
Right.
But I think we're getting back to that point whereby we should be able to. I'm getting ready to take another group of doctors and volunteers at the end of January.
End of January, okay.
2022, yes. And
how long do you normally go when you go?
We usually go for about 2 weeks, okay, maximum, because a lot of the people can't take more than that because of work-related duties, right, and responsibilities.
Does your wife go with you too?
Sometimes she does, sometimes she doesn't. Mm-hmm. You know.
And so you go over there. What do you do that the doctors that are there can't do? Do you do other things that they can't do?
Me?
Yeah.
Myself?
Yeah.
I usually end up doing administrative stuff actually when I take the doctors because they usually take over and along with our South Sudanese doctors, they're able to handle things, and then I usually will do more administrative stuff.
So do they like get a little vacation when you go over there? You're filling in for the doctors that are there.
Oh, you know, they actually usually end up working too much because we will usually have a lot more patients than usual because they know that they have help, and so patients will come from very far areas.
So where does your team stay when they go there?
They stay in the compound where our clinic is. We have buildings that we house the.
Do you have pictures from your website that we can put on here?
We have pictures, yes.
Okay, so we want to include those pictures for you to see as well. And that way, it would be helpful for anybody that's saying, hey, I'm in North Carolina, I'm in Maine, I want to go, I want to participate, I want to help.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the website again is?
The website is www.healingkadi.
Healing Kadi, which
K-E-D-I.
means healing house. But we'll put this on the screen as well.
Absolutely.
And because you have a remarkable thing going on, and even here in Omaha, I'm telling you, ever since you worked on my wife, and I use social media a lot, and I would put your name out there, and every time I put your name out there, somebody would say, I use him, he's a great doctor, Now, how many doctors do you have on your team here in Omaha?
At our clinic, we have about 6.
Okay.
Plus 4 mid-level providers, and
Okay.
so.
Level 4 what?
But we are part of the Methodist system, so
Right.
it's a large clinic system.
Right. But
Yeah.
you have 6 on yours. Are they all from? They're all from other countries?
No.
Okay.
I think 2 of us are from born abroad. Most of them are Americans.
All right.
Yes.
We have just a few minutes. Anything else you want to share about your clinic? Anything that's just important?
Well, I think that sometimes it's not easy for people to get information, and our website is really great. And I also have a blog.
Okay.
You can connect to the blog from the website, and that blog is where I update things on weekly basis. Sometimes on every other 2 weeks, I update on what is going on at the facility in South Sudan. Right now, we're in the process of doing a fundraising event in South Sudan for the first time, because you know what? I think that the South Sudanese people have as much responsibility as our donors who are donating the little they have here to contribute towards their own people. Right. And I think that's a good thing that we're doing, and we'll see what the outcome of that.
What's the annual budget for your clinic in South Sudan?
It's $350,000.
Only $350,000?
Well,
I would have thought you'd be 3.5 million.
No, we're very frugal, by the way, And this is the thing. A lot of people think that we spend so much, but you know what? We know what we're doing, and we do it very effectively. And we see about 30 to 40,000 people a year.
30 to 40,000 a year,
and we provide
and you're only doing
excellent
it
care.
for 350,000?
Absolutely.
American dollars?
American dollars.
That's amazing. If I had that, I'd just write a check. I don't have that.
I know.
You doctors, you have so much. No, I'm teasing. So
Maybe
anyway,
you got some friends that can write me that check. Who knows?
Yeah, right. And hopefully we'll encourage some of them to watch this show. Do you do any kind of? Do you do like a dinner or a fundraising?
Yes. We're actually. I think we usually do a good dinner in the winter time. So sometime in January or after we come back from South Sudan, we'll have a dinner where we do some fundraising. And
so if you know the dates, we'll put that on the bottom of the screen too.
Absolutely. I will
and ways to connect here. Do you know where that dinner is going to be?
I think it'll probably be at Anthony's Steakhouse.
The steakhouse? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know for sure yet. I don't know 100% yet, but I think that's probably where we're planning to have it.
Okay.
Yes.
So we want to definitely advertise that for you, encourage you. And the blessing is he follows the Lord's leading as well. He listens to God. He gets wisdom, knowledge, discernment. All of those things are also equally important as the medical, as I know to you.
Absolutely. We couldn't do that without God,
Right.
Everything that we do, sometimes we're at the bottom of the pit where we don't know where the next salaries are going to come from, and then somebody just comes up with something. So we know God is at work.
Right. So I've got lots of testimonies, and we'll share some of those on another show. But, and tell us just, you have children?
Yes.
How many?
I have 3 children.
3 children? Boys,
Yes.
girls?
2 boys and 1 girl.
And how old are they?
28, actually. How old is Jason?
30. He'll
Yeah,
be 30 in a month.
Yeah, my son is just a couple of years younger than him. His name is Jason too.
Yeah, you mentioned that, yeah. Jason 1 and Jason 2.
Yeah, that's right. And then I have a daughter who is in the middle, she's 26, and then I have the youngest one, is 21.
That makes more sense for me to name him Jason because he's Jay, I'm Jay, and he's my son, Jay's son. Okay, Joseph's son doesn't work,
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and Diane's son just didn't sound right at all. So anyway, are they in medical? They're 3.
My daughter is in medical school. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
And the young one is kind of thinking about it. We'll see what direction God sends him.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's a pleasure to know you. It's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for taking care of my wife when she was in the hospital.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you for saying yes. You could have easily said no. We heard that in the other show. We won't go into that. But he normally doesn't take patients that are not his in the middle of something else that's already going on. And when we got you, she had already been in the hospital for roughly a month.
Yeah.
And we didn't know how long she was going to be. But and it was a very critical time. It was a very complicated.
Yeah.
That's what the word they heard all the time. It's complicated. It's complicated. We had all these specialists, all these medicines, everything going on. This guy stepped in. It really brought a lot of health and healing to her and hope to us. Even though she didn't make it, that's not his fault, and it's nobody's fault. Okay, we could blame it, but we choose not to. We choose to trust God in the middle of this and move on. And many people, like I said in the last show, I've had 18 friends die this year alone.
Yeah.
3 relatives and 15 friends. It's tough. It's hard.
It's tough.
But we keep going forward. And so,
absolutely.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing. We'll put the website on again multiple times and let you respond. We'll let you know about the dinner, and we'll also his blog. We want you to read that and become connected with Dr. Joseph Dumba, great man of God, great doctor in our community. I am honored to know him. It's a sincere honor to know him, and looking forward to what God has us do in the future. So,
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you again for coming.
Thank you very much.
We'll keep this handshake simple this
God
time.
bless you.
God bless you. We'll see you next time. Until then, God bless you. Bye-bye.